what I mean by that? Congratulations, because you guys are leading the union movement back. 2017, Baltimore Gas and Electric, 1,418 new brothers and sisters. Biggest in 125 years. 2018, Atlanta Gas and Light, 700 new brothers and sisters. And it keeps going on. Look, we're coming back. You are coming back. We need you back. When I look out at this crowd, let me tell you what I see. I see my old neighborhood in Claymont and Scranton. I see the backbone, and no, this is not hyperbole. I see the backbone of the nation. I see people not only are smart, but people with physical courage to do the things your members have to do. I see people who risk their lives going up in those bucket and trucks after raging storms, and sometimes during them, working around the clock to power communities. People take it for granted. Climbing up that damn pole, you risk your life. We used to understand that. Ironworkers back in Delaware, a guy named Tommy Schrank, when they endorsed me as a kid running for the Senate, he used to go in, and I meant it sincerely. I'd go into the hall, and I'd say, I can't get over you guys. I admire your courage. 17 stories up, walking a beam, shooting a rivet. And people saying, is what they do worthwhile? Come on, man. I see the people in this room who represent the people and are part of the people who make manufacturing go. I see the people who lead the way to safer and cleaner energy. An energy future that's going to be done by repairing over 2 million miles of leaky pipelines. Most of it put back in the 1960s. I see people who will build a 21st century electric grid that will not only power this nation's economy, but protect this nation from foreign adversaries and the way they use cyberspace and the rest to go after us. I see people who have busted their necks their whole lives to earn their pensions. And when you retire, you deserve every damn penny you work for, not a penny less. I mean it. I mean it. I'm tired of it. Look, is to be treated fairly, with respect, with some dignity, because you matter. Look, think about it this way. This is how I think about it, not a joke. And we used to think about it, how my family and my neighborhood thought about it. There is no possibility any of those guys who have been making millions of bucks on Wall Street, doing good work wherever they're doing and doing very well, they could not function without the work you do. Literally, it's impossible to make the country function without what you do. And don't you forget it. Don't you forget what you do. We've gotten so damn sophisticated. We've gotten so damn elitist. Just like I hope you guys understand. When that storm comes and the storm sewer's overflowing and some poor sucker's out there cleaning it, you owe him or her thanks. They make life work for us. And I hate the way things have changed over the last 15 to 20 years. Folks, let me ask you a question. How do we get to the place where people who build bridges, repair our roofs, keep our water systems going, teach our kids, take care of our sick parents, our children, run into burning buildings rather than away from them, grow our food, build our cars, pick up the garbage off our streets, iron workers, steel workers, boiler makers, plumbers, electrical workers. How the hell do we get to the place where a lot of you don't think the rest of the country sees you, or hears you, or knows you, or maybe most important, respects you, literally respects you for what you do? I tell all my sophisticated friends, they say, well, that's, that's respect. What are you talking about? I said, you do a job You hope if you do it well, your colleague's going to say, good job. It matters. It matters how we treat people. It matters how we talk to them. You guys are like me. I never walk away from a table without thanking the waiter. Not a joke. That's how I was raised. My father was a white collar. If you listen to Barack, you'd think he climbed out of a coal mine with a lunch bucket in his hand from Scranton. Joe Biden from gritty Scranton. They really resent that in Delaware. But my dad was a guy who literally taught us, not a joke. He said, every single person, not a joke, deserves to be treated with dignity. I've never once saw my father, never once saw my father. Whether he's walking into the DuPont building and the CEO walked by to say hi and say hi to the shoe shine guy. I never once saw my father not treat every one of his employees. He was a general manager of a large car dealership. I never once saw him didn't treat people. He thought the worst thing that could happen, the worst sin of all, was the abuse of power, economic power, political power. He said the cardinal sin was for a man to raise his hand to a woman or a child. But my father insisted that everybody be treated with respect. Hello, how are you? Great job, thanks. Simple, basic things that let people know what they do matter. Their work matters. Their job matters. They matter. Let me tell you something. And this is not a political statement, this is a statement of fact. This country was not built by Wall Street bankers and CEOs and hedge fund managers. A lot of good people, they're decent people. It was built by the great American middle class, the most significant economic power in all of for real. That's the American story, a story of ordinary people from the neighborhoods you and I grew up in, going out and giving half a chance and doing extraordinary things. And how do you think we built the great middle class? I've been saying this for 45 years. Unions. Unions. That's a fact. Unions. Some politicians are afraid to use the word union. Not me. Unions built this middle class. For real. I think we even forgot it. I think we've forgotten. My grandpa Finnegan used to say, Joey, you're union from belt buckle to shoe sole. He said it more colorfully than that. If you have any doubt that you guys and women built the middle class, just think about it. The sacrifices you made, all the dues you paid, the picket lines you've walked, the negotiations you've sweated through, all those sacrifices, they didn't just benefit you. They benefited every American worker. Now here's the deal, guys. There's no one who has done more, including the political system, congressmen, senators, governors, no one who has done more for non-union labor than unions. It's just a fact. Minimum wage, overtime pay, 40-hour week, weekends off. I could go on for the next 5 minutes. All those rights exist because you and my family way back in the days in Scranton fought for those things. Non-union workers have rights because of the sacrifices you've made. And here's the good news. For the last, I'd say close to 20 years, they kind of forgot it. They kind of bought into this new, right-wing economic theory that, unions are greedy, they're this, they're that. the very people you gave those rights to. But now they're beginning to realize it. You know why? And most of you probably don't even focus on this. Most Americans know. I spoke at the business school at Northwestern University with, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 graduate students out there. And I think what I said to them surprised them. About 40%, or about 40 million hourly workers have to sign a non-compete agreement to get a job. Used to be you couldn't work for Jimmy John's making sandwiches unless you agreed you would not compete within X number of miles for another job. So you couldn't go to McDonald's and get a 10-cent increase in your wage. Literally, not a joke. Not a joke. What's that all about? Nothing other than suppressing wages for stockholders. Reclassification. That's one of the things that the Secretary of Labor and I were very proud of having done. They turned it around in this administration. Reclassifying hourly workers as management. The woman who's stacking the ragu spaghetti in the supermarket, if she controls the guy or the woman with the wagon to bring the spaghetti out and pallets, she's now a manager. You know how much that cost hourly workers? $10 billion. $10 billion. Not getting paid for overtime. Folks, look, average Americans are realizing they've been getting the shaft in the name of using you. I said, you may remember, Lonnie, the AFL-CIO, I said 5 years ago, actually now 7 years ago, the Chamber of Commerce has declared war on Labor's house. It's been a constant, unrelenting war. All for one reason: drive down wages and benefits to raise stockholders' value. Not a joke. But people are starting to figure it out. Even a lot of Democrats, myself included, I didn't realize all these new non-compete agreements, hourly work. An hourly worker, non-compete. You know, if you are a hair braider, you braid people's hair, you have to get a license to do something like 400 hours of training in another state to move in to be able to braid hair. I mean, it's all about, I'll be more careful. It's all about not helping the worker. You know, one of the things I love about the IBEW is this. You get what my father has always said. When my father left Scranton when Cole died, he was a salesperson. There were no good jobs. The community was dying. And I remember him walking up the stairs of my grandpa's house, sitting at the end of my bed. I think it's the longest walk any parent can make, to tell their kid, honey, you can't go back to the same school. We're losing the house, honey. We can't live there anymore. You're going to go home and live with Grandpa. It's only going to take about a year. Hey, all those kids, you want to come up on the stage, you can come up. It's okay. Come on up. Come on up. Just come and sit here. Come on. Any kids can come up. So, how you doing? What's your name? Hi, Nick. Jocelyn. Hi, Jocelyn. By the way, guys, nothing artificial about. If we don't win, if you don't win, you got a problem. If you win, if we win, their future. Right, you realize 54% of the American people think their children will never reach the standard of living they've reached. That's never happened before. 54%. And you guys can sit in the edge or what? I don't want you to have to stand all alone, but it's up to you. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him. All right? Why don't you sit in the room right there? I'm sorry it takes so long, guys, but everyone knows I like kids better than people. But look, my father, when we moved down to Claymont, every time there'd be a recession, like the neighborhood you guys grew up in, somebody in the family lose a job or get laid off. It may be temporary, but, you know, a neighbor. My dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. Think about it. That's what a job's about. It's so much more than a paycheck. But a lot of people can't do that today. As I said, they don't believe that their children are going to be in the same position they were. They feel hopeless. They feel left out. Fear has crept into so many places around this country. So many times in our past, the worst among us, act like in the past, are preying on those fears to divide us. Why are you not have a job? Why are you getting a low-paid job? It's the other. It's the other. It's that immigrant. It's that black guy. It's that divide us. Divide us. It's an ugly extremism. It's on the rise in this country. We saw it most vividly in Charlottesville when Klansmen and white supremacists and neo-Nazis came out of fields, crazed faces illuminated by torches with bulging veins, bearing the fangs of racism, chanting literally the same anti-Semitic bile. The same anti-Semitic bile chanted in the streets of Nuremberg and Berlin in the 30s. A mean pettiness has overtaken our politics the last decade. Sometimes it seems like we can't govern ourselves because we don't talk to one another anymore. We barely talk to one another. My whole career, I've been able to get a lot of things done. I know I'm being criticized by some on the far left that I have actually think we should work with Republicans. But how do you get something done? Look, folks, this is not who we are. This is not the America we've known, we've grown up in. We have to remember what it is that makes this nation so special. And it's our core values. It's what we believe. It's the American creed. It sounds corny. We hold these truths self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. As I said, it sounds corny, but it's who we are. We've never fully lived up to it, to Jefferson's words, but we've never before walked away from them. Just walked away from them. I believe there's something the columnist David Brooks, conservative columnist in the Times, calls an invisible moral fabric he talks about that holds the nation together. It's made up of basic values, the values that define us: honesty, decency, dignity, respect, giving everyone a fair shot, leaving nobody behind, giving hate no safe harbor, and leading by the power of our example, not just the example of our power. That's why the rest of the world has followed us. We are the shining hill, as Reagan said, the shining city on the hill, standing as a beacon for the world. But most importantly, we used to always understand as Americans that we're part of something bigger than just us. Something bigger than us. That's who we are. That's who we've been. That's who your parents were, your grandparents were. These are the values that made us the most respectful and successful nation in the history of the world. Not hyperbole. But look how we're viewed now. You know, there used to be a basic bargain in America. You guys know it better than anybody. It said that if you're part of building the success of an enterprise, you got to share in the benefits. You got to share in the profits. Not now. If an enterprise is hit hard, it used to be, everybody took a hit. The CEO, the managers, the hourly workers. But that bargain's been broken. Now the only people who benefit when a company does well are the CEOs and the shareholders, the people at the top. As I said, Republicans have adopted the conservative economist Milton Friedman's dicta in the late 80s when he said, a corporation only has one responsibility, to its shareholders. That's an economic
All
theory.
right,
Only
you
to
are
its
watching former Vice President Joe Biden speaking there at a union event in Washington, D.C. Former Vice President touching on a number of themes, but one obviously that people are watching for is any type of reaction to the allegations of inappropriate touching that have been made against the former Vice President. Of course, if you were watching what he was saying.
A cartoon in my office, the president used to always come in and try to jokingly turn around. Some in the New Yorker, I still have it in my office at Penn. It's a picture of a great big rotund guy from New York Magazine in a black turtleneck, black mask, and a black beret, sitting at the end of a table like this. And the other end of the table is an interrogator, not on the other side. The other end.
All right, so apologies for the technical issues there. My mic had fallen off my tie. Happens sometimes. So you've been listening to the former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, speaking there to a union group at a union function in Washington, D.C. And of course, as I was saying, a lot of people will be watching to see and to hear from the former Vice President about the allegations of inappropriate touching, and the former Vice President only addressing it by making a joke. At one point, when he came onto the stage at the IBEW conference in D.C., he said to the IBEW president, "I just want you to know I had permission to hug Lonnie." And then you heard cheers from the crowd. So it was sort of a joke around what I think, a lot of people would say are very serious allegations that the former vice president is being accused of. So we are going to continue to monitor what he is saying there, and we'll bring you more developments as he says them. But let me reintroduce myself. I'm Vladimir Duthier. Anne-Marie Green will join me in just a moment. All right, focusing now on the President of the United States. He is currently on his way to the border city of Calexico in California to take a look at the progress of his border wall. Before departing, the president spoke with reporters and backed off a threat to close the southern border, but says Mexico has been placed on notice. Mola Lenghi reports.
President Trump departed the White House Friday morning bound for California. The itinerary includes a stop in the town of Calexico where an existing wall has been remodeled.
I'm heading to the border. We're building a lot of wall. We're going to show you a section, and a lot of things are happening.
The visit comes amid a surge of asylum seekers entering the country. The president threatened to close the border completely, but decided against it. Mr. Trump says that's because Mexico heeded his warning.